and thank you for coming. Today, I'm going to discuss why I believe the federal government needs to legalize internet gambling. The topics I'm going to discuss, to begin with, is a little bit of a history lesson, why internet gambling is currently illegal in the United States, how to regulate internet gambling, and the benefits to U.S. citizens by legalizing. So let's start off by speaking about why internet gambling is currently illegal in the United States. Well, you have to go back to 1961 when Congress enacted the Wire Act. It was actually part of a series of anti-racketeering laws. Now, these laws were initially set in place to combat and suppress organized gambling, organized crime from occurring. So gambling, although it's widespread around the United States, it's currently subject to the legislation and control by the federal government. Both the state and the federal government. So the government basically doesn't want you gambling and making money without it having its hand in it, but it's also to protect the actual U.S. citizen, the consumer, you as a consumer. So I want you to remember the Wire Act because it actually is going to play a part in the reasoning behind why internet gambling is still illegal to this day. Let's fast forward a little bit to the 1990s when the World Wide Web was rapidly growing and internet gambling emerged. It was almost an end around to government control and basically wasn't under the jurisdiction of the federal government. Actually, all a site operator needed to do was create a business in a jurisdiction that was offshore. Take for instance the Bahamas, create a website and start placing bets because it's outside of the jurisdiction of the United States federal government. And basically anybody with access to a website, that website browser could access the site, give them your credit card and begin placing bets. The federal government looked at it and said this is a huge no-no because there's a lot of taxable income that's not coming through to the United States and it's coming from our taxpayers. So you go back to the Wire Act, and back in 1961 it actually explicitly states that any wire transmission facility is illegal through interstate gambling, which basically means that any form of gambling, placing wagering bets, that's not originated from a place where gambling is legal to another place where gambling is legal, that's illegal. So internet gambling actually falls under that umbrella. Pretty amazing if you think about it, that a law enacted in 1961 is applicable today. So online poker is currently a $6 billion industry which caters to millions of Americans playing poker, placing sports bets in the privacy of their homes in Ohio, California, Mississippi. And that's crazy because the U.S. government has no hand in legislating or taxing any of this money. So how do we regulate it? How do we make this a reality? Fortunately, there's considerable sentiment in Congress to repeal the ban on internet gambling. So even with the most well-intentioned bills being put forth to the Congress by the state levels, it's not adequately going to address this problem. The federal government needs to get involved. The goals are simple. Let Americans gamble online in their homes, in the privacy of their own homes, and create revenue and jobs here in America. Only federal legislation can accomplish this. So we need to find a way to make this come to fruition. So we need to be able to prevent criminal activity. There needs to be the federal government providing strict regulatory oversight, mandating the use of the state-of-the-art technology that we do have to protect players from cheating, fraud, and identity theft. These site operators need to work hand in hand with law enforcement in combating all of this. They need to make sure we're not having underage players. We're providing counseling services and opportunities for people with gambling problems to receive help and informational guides for these folks. Every time you walk into a casino in Las Vegas, Atlantic City, you're going to see a slot machine, but you know what? Off to the side, you're going to see a poster that says if you have a problem with gambling, please call 1-800-XXX. So the government needs to step in and watch out for the U.S. citizen, the consumer. Which gets to my third point, the benefits to the U.S. citizens by legalizing this act. This great recession that we're in has yielded unprecedented unemployment rates and a debt ceiling that we may not see overcome for years. A representative out of Massachusetts, Barney Frank, has actually authored a bill, DD 2267, which basically would let internet sites obtain licenses from states and make it taxable income. A related bill would actually, HR 2268, would impose a 2% federal internet gambling fee, and it would also require taxpayers to report their winnings to the IRS. These proposals would raise millions and millions of dollars in revenues for state and federal government, along with the jobs it would create in these states. Who would have ever thought that legalizing internet gambling may be an assistant in potentially ending certain crisis in states and federal government funding? Today, I've discussed internet gambling. I hope you got a little bit of information on the history lesson that I provided on why it was originally illegal, how to regulate it, and the benefits to the U.S. citizen. Thank you for your time.